Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign. It's very interesting because they're ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is where we find our abundance, where if we trust with the universe, then if we'll feel a little more freedom with it. And that's what Sagittarius is so good at. They're so good at being in tune with the universe. They have trust in it, and that gives them the feeling that they can experience the freedom to make actions and choices that they want to, which is why they can sometimes come off a bit wild. But it's necessary, because the Sagittarius path is to have freedom in their choices so that they can learn from their experiences, because Sagittarius associates to the ninth house, and the ninth house is the house of higher learning. So Sagittarius is constantly learning from their experiences, which is why Sagittarius also loves to travel, because they love to learn about other cultures, other philosophies, and they're very interested in people. And so with that arrangement of energies in them, it makes them feel more freedom to experience than the other signs. And so they go from a wild energy to gaining a lot of wisdom, so that later they can share their wisdom from their experiences with everybody. And so that's what adds to their eccentric energy, and they also are fire signs, so they're not afraid to express themselves. And because they're so interested in other cultures and traveling and things like that, it gives them a very unique mix to then add into their personal expression, which is why their clothing choices can also be quite eccentric and things like that, and why they love to be the life of the party, because they have that fire energy. So where you have Sagittarius in your birth chart is where you will have more energy to experience a bit of freedom in your actions, so that you can learn from those experiences and shape your belief systems, because that relates to Jupiter as well, so that you can learn and grow more wisdom in that area of life, wherever Sagittarius, in whatever house it is in your chart. So for example, I have Sagittarius ruling my 5th house, and the 5th house relates to romance and love and children and creative expression. So I feel a little more freedom in those areas of my life, which can come off as a little bit more wild to people, as my wild side. And Sagittarius is also related to the half horse, half man, centaurs. And centaurs were seen in mythology to be fun-loving, maybe sometimes a bit mischievous, because they have that wild horse energy, but they also have the man, which is where we would gain the wisdom and ability to philosophize and the culture stuff. So wherever you have Sagittarius in your chart is where you feel a little bit more freedom, because you have a little bit more of that connection to Jupiter, which is the abundance, and you feel the freedom because Jupiter is there, and you feel the connection to that energy. So for example, if you have Sagittarius in your 1st house, you're going to feel more freedom to express yourself physically, and in your personality, and to show that personality. So Sagittarius risings can be very charming and personable with people, and they want to go through a lot of experiences because it's going to shape who they are in a lot of ways. So they can be seen as a bit of a wild child, maybe at first, and then later in life they could be someone who's seen as having a lot of wisdom, because of the experiences that they've gone through have really shaped their personality, and the way they express themselves physically in the world, and also just their attitude towards life, because our rising sign is really shapes our whole attitude towards life. So and then of course we have our different connections with the planets and placements. So if you are a Sagittarius rising and you haven't felt so much like freedom because you feel a confidence in the universe supporting your actions, that could be because of placements that you have. So it's not to say that, oh, wherever you have Sagittarius in your chart, you just automatically feel freedom. That is the ideal energy, but there could be blockages because of personal planets and placements and things like that. So I just kind of wanted to talk about Sagittarius and what gives them that freedom, fun-loving, fiery spirit, along with the wisdom that they learn. And even their symbol being the arrow, it's them shooting an arrow almost like at an invisible target that only they can see. And so that's kind of adds to the genius of the Sagittarius and why they have that innate wisdom that they gain later. So yeah.